Hello, everyone. Welcome to our summer and tropical weather outlook panel discussion. Now that we're heading into the warm season months, it's certainly time to think about how we prepare, plan, and react to, severe thunderstorms, warm season weather risks, and also as the tropical season ramps up with tropical storms and hurricanes. My name is Brad Nelson. I am a meteorologist and a solution engineer at DTN. And with me today is Dax Cochran, Senior Account Manager, and Ben Hershey, Product Manager at DTN. Great to have you guys on board here for the discussion. So in relation to our latest DTN Summer and Tropical Outlook, which was just presented, we're going to quickly cover a few topics of interest around these warm season weather impacts to live events and outdoor sports. So that's going to be our focus. So let's begin. So first question I have for you gentlemen, considering the impacts of tropical weather and thunderstorms on outdoor events, festivals, and sports, what do you know as the primary operational challenges, some of the key decisions, the actions that those organizations face ahead of and during these periods of adverse weather? So Dax, if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to start with you, and Ben, you can follow up.
Sure, thanks, Brad. I love these seasonal outlooks. It always serves as a very good reminder as we're going into event season for everyone to review weather plans, review communication structure, um, and with that first step in mind, it enables you to really start to address some of the other key challenges with the most notable safety threats to an event, like strong winds, lightning, extreme temperatures. And those plans in place, and as I mentioned before, a really good communication structure. It's just about having a really good partner to ensure that you're getting this critical information, and a partner with expertise that can be sure that they're providing you with confidence, probabilities in terms of weather forecasts and alerting information, just to ensure that you're making really good safety decisions for your event, but then also making those decisions in a way that you can have, as efficient of an operation and a successful event as possible.
Yeah, very
Yeah,
good. Any thoughts on that, Ben?
yeah, I completely agree with Dax. And if we kind of take that holistically, when we look at the events that do occur, right? We have a kind of a planning stage where weather information is actually really critical for that. The idea of getting things in place, if there's actual equipment that needs to be installed. So, do you have soils that are real, have a lot of moisture in them from a lot of rain? Are you going to get a lot of rain? You need to plan for that kind of situation. And then obviously the event itself, that's where it's going to get the most press from if there's any issues. So making sure that there's good communication. Is it going to be hot out? Is it going to have rain? Are you going to deal with thunderstorms, right? As we deal with certain situations. And then if those events are located along the coast, do we have tropical weather type situations that might impact the area? And then after the event, as there is the takedown and patrons are leaving or concert goers or whoever may be taking into an event, but then also all the activities that go on after the event, keeping those individuals safe and having good information to make those operational decisions. It's going to be important as we've seen in the outlook, right? Where we do have a chance, while maybe not quite as much tropical weather as we've maybe expected, but there could be some intense storms that spin up very quickly, right? So having good information to be able to make quick decisions and have a plan in place is going to be critical, this summer season.
That's a really good point. We always consider the various challenges you have at different phases of planning and executing an event. When you're in your planning and setup phase, you're working with various stakeholders. You may be working with local emergency management to get your permitting, financial risk partners that are going to be interested in what you're doing from a weather perspective, and then all the way through, as you mentioned, every event has specific, unique variables, and addressing each one of those at every phase of executing an event is crucial.
Those are great points because there are a lot of things to think about when running a successful event and managing weather risk around events. it's not, you think of the safety aspect of everyone involved, but there's so much more to it, right? I mean, there's monetary loss, there's logistics you got to think of, there's extra concessions, there's just, some of the little stuff that you don't really, that ends up being really huge decisions for these
Sure.
organizers that they need to make. So with that's, topic, question I have is, what are some of the other factors that, besides what I mentioned, that people may not think of when managing events that have potential to be impacted by this type of weather? Maybe Ben, you want to start with that?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've even seen it over the last couple of years, and obviously coming out of the post-COVID type situation. But we've had concerts before that with extreme heat. It's not something you think about, but making sure there's enough water for those taking in the concert, right? And so obviously those on stage are probably well taken care of. But if you've got thousands of people, so that's a huge thing. Obviously, lightning information is critical. That's probably one of the number one, risk factors that we have, and as we see the ramp up of outdoor events coming into the summer season and thunderstorms starting to occur, that's huge. But I'll kind of focus on those two. I know Dax, you probably have got a couple too as well, but heat and lightning are huge things that we worry about.
And winds, if we're thinking about from a safety perspective, winds and lightning are absolutely critical. You have to have not only a weather plan for that, but you have to understand various criteria as it pertains to your event. Should you have to evacuate a site, how long does it take you to evacuate? Where do you need those lightning rings set? When do you need to be notified of an imminent lightning threat so that you have the time to do the things that you need to do to ensure you're keeping everyone safe? Same with wind speeds as it pertains to temporary structures and those kinds of things. And it's really not even just the event itself, Brad. I'm sure you've seen it numerous times at the events that you've worked where one critical element of producing an event is that the event happens on a specific day and you have a finite amount of time to plan, execute your site setup, your load in, and weather always presents challenges along that schedule where you don't have a lot of room. The show has to be ready to go. So there's probably plenty of times that by the time the event happens, the weather's fine. It was the critical final setup stages and keeping everybody on schedule, keeping your staff safe. Maybe re-coordinating some of the schedule if you have a crane coming in one day and you can save those costs by potentially moving that to a more weather friendly time to be doing that kind of work. So there's all kinds of ancillary concerns that can be planned for. But the good news is, as you identify those things, you can certainly create a weather plan and be sure that you've got the correct weather information coming your way to be able to navigate through that stuff.
That's great. I mean, and you kind of wonder, with everything coming at you, right, when it comes to not only the weather decisions and everything that you have to make, but everything else that's on their plate. A lot of the event organizers, safety managers, some of these key stakeholders at these events, they don't have a lot of time to do 100% focus on weather and how it's going to impact them. So how can we, as professional weather support services and solutions, how can we at DTN help manage these impacts to outdoor events? Dax, you want to start with that?
Sure. I mean, and this industry is fortunate to have some really great resources to help with all of those situations. Weather information is what it is. There is a weather forecast. There's weather alerts and those kinds of things. It's some of the gray area with taking that information and understanding the confidence and the outcomes that you're either looking to obtain or avoid for your event and having the right sort of experts around you to help you, with a little more confidence, understand the situation and just be a little more reassured that the decision you're making is the correct decision. And it's like I mentioned before, there's tons of resources out there with lots of experts. I know the folks at the ESA do quite a bit in helping get people with the correct mentality of a safety and a planning minded mentality. And then it's just about utilizing the resources that DTN provides and some of the additional insights that we can relay to these events beyond just giving them a simple weather forecast. And I think, Ben, that's kind of your bread and butter and what you focus on every day. So,
Correct. Yeah, and I think that's, one of the things that DTN has really tried to prioritize, from a product side is understanding the weather risk. And so through our weather risk, intelligent platforms that we have at DTN, with multiple different platforms to help really hone in on the challenges that you have in specific industries. And obviously in the events and sports safety, that's one of the things that we've really prioritized at DTN. And so we have that capability of being that extra step, as you mentioned, Dax, right? That extra piece of information, that extra confidence, right? And so, your weather window may be short. And so having the right information at the right time to make that decision of, is it a no go type situation, or do we have weather moving in, and how do we manage that, right? And so being able to do that either from a web platform or even a mobile platform where, a lot of decisions aren't made sitting in front of a computer. They're made while actually on site at the facility, trying to coordinate what's going on. And so being able to get alerted to changing weather conditions, and we always know that they're going to change, right? As meteorologists, we'd like to think that we're 100%, but we know that the weather is going to change. And so having that information right there, and having the alert capability to inform you when things have changed, are critical in that decision making process. And we've really tried to prioritize that from a product standpoint at DTN.
Yeah, and supplementing those, those product solutions, our weather intelligence platforms, is having that professional meteorologist in the loop that really fully understands large events, their operational challenges, their pain points, decisions they need to make. That's where our risk communicator meteorologists come in, dedicated to providing that full support during periods of that adverse, challenging weather. What we have found, especially in recent years, is that our customer partners really value having the one or two meteorologists that are more integrated into their operations, almost part of their staff, working with them through every significant weather event or every outdoor live event that they may have. Providing that valued consultation, the actionable insights, really allows these event organizers and these safety managers to be, well prepared, respond accordingly to these weather conditions. So it really is truly a service that can allow our partners to save money, time, efforts, and increase safety measures and efficiencies. So, that's been a huge value add. It's been beneficial for us as DTN to work closer with our customers to better understand them and work together for that shared success of every event. So with that, yeah, go ahead, Dex.
well, I was just gonna say, with these events, everybody, um, you know, wants to go to a show or go to an event or go to a festival and have a good time. And in producing an event, you're bringing essentially a number of guests on site that you've invited, and utilizing that type of expert that you were just describing, it demonstrates a duty of care and a responsibility that you're showing towards the guests that you're bringing out to your event. I think that's one of the most critical elements.
Very true. Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, it's that shared understanding and that the shared success, I would say.
Yep.
So with that, I think, we'll wrap it up. So I'd like to, thank everyone for listening today. Ben and Dax, appreciate you jumping on, providing your professional and valuable input. So thanks everyone, and yeah, have a great day. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys.